everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, right? And I've got a bit of an issue with all of you because I go away for 1 week. Adam very kindly, to be fair, takes over the show according to my instructions, gives the right wrestlers the right amount of points. And then for the past 7 days or so, my notifications have just been flooded with jokes. You know, Jack, you wanker, mate. Ha! It's partly Adam's fault as well, granted, but I'm more annoyed at you guys. Not annoyed, more disappointed. But with that being said, I won't let it dampen my spirits too much because I'm back and it's my favourite time of the week. That's right, it's time for Wrestlers of the Week, where I assign a lovely set of points to the best wrestlers this week. And there's been a bit of a variety. We've got some US wrestling, we've got some Japanese wrestling, we've got WWE, we've got indies, big old mixed bag. Everyone loves it. Let's crack on with the honourable mentions. So first of all, Matt Riddle and Adam Cole had a good match on NXT. Sonata lost sadly against Okada, trying to take the top New Japan title from him, but couldn't quite get it done. I think he now falls to like 0-8 or something against Okada. Always bottles it against Kazuchika. Taichi is once again the never openweight champion, and it was an alright match and a good performance from Taichi, who doesn't normally bring out these massive great performances, but I don't really enjoy the booking. You know, the belt went from Ospreay to Cobb to Taichi, and if it's just to get it back onto Ospreay, then I don't understand why Cobb had to be in there in the middle anyway. I don't know. Also, the Stardom tournament was won by Arisa Hoshiki. I can't remember the name of the bloody tournament. The one where they get to be in a lovely dress at the end and go, I've won the tournament, I'm the fairest of them all. It sounds like I'm being really sexist. No, that's genuinely what happens. Don't think that of me. And also, before I begin, a special honourable mention as well to my boy Simon Miller, who returned to action following a long layoff from injury. Well done, Simon, mate, getting back in the ring. Really proud of you. Do you want to know why? Here's why. I can't do it. I can't do it the same. Let's crack on with the top 10. So number 10, the man that I've just mentioned, Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker himself. Yes, Okada successfully defended his IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Sonata in the main event of one of the Wrestling Dontaku shows this past week. It was an epic length match. I think it went about half an hour or so, maybe even longer. Meltzer gave it 4.75 stars. Everyone was like, whoa. So the question is, why does Okada only get 1 point and not a whole load more? I just didn't like the match as much as people thought. I enjoyed parts of the match, of course I did, because both Okada and Sonata are fantastic elite level wrestlers and they can obviously construct and work a really good match together. But at the same time, I just felt like certain parts were really slow. Not the finish and not the bits leading up to the finish. That was really thrilling and exciting, but I do feel like the earlier, slower paced sections really grinding out the length of the match. I do feel like they took away from the overall experience. And usually I'm fine with slow builds in matches. Some of my favourite matches ever have had really slow starts because I'm really smarky and sensible wrestling gets me right aroused, it does. But at the same time, I think in this instance, it was a little bit too much. I think it took away too much from the match. Maybe it was because Okada was facing Sonata, who he always beats, so I just struggled to get invested because I never really thought at any point like Sonata was actually going to do it and pull it off. I just felt like a lot of it was a bit sort of time wasted. But overall, I should restate the point that this was, it was a good match, and Okada fully deserves his point, and he goes on to defend the title against his next challenger, Chris Jericho. What? Also a special honourable mention to Y2J for getting another tidy New Japan payday and a title shot, despite losing nearly every match he's had there since he left WWE. But that's a bit harsh, innit? On to number 9, Flippy Flip Gordon. I had to check this, and I think these are Flip's first points of 2019, which is weird because I think I always mention him. I must always stick him in the honourable mentions, or the ring of honourable mentions. But this time, Flip Gordon finds himself on the proper top 10 and picks up actual real points, 2 of them in fact. He main evented one of the Worlds Collide shows, which I believe are still ongoing in Ring of Honor, and defeated Bandido. I was surprised, I thought Bandido was going to win, but Flip Gordon won. And it wasn't just a great match, of course it was, lots of fast and furious action, as you'd expect from those two, but it was a great match with storyline implications. Ooh, a story in wrestling, who'd have bloody thought it? Yes, after the match, Flip was approached by members of Lifeblood, which is weird. It's kind of like A babyface stable, and usually stables, for good reason, are heels because, you know, strength in numbers and all that, they can sneak up on people, they can be massive dicks like Evolution, but in this case, in Ring of Honor, it's a group of babyfaces coming together to try and restore some of the previous pride that Ring of Honor had through great champions such as Tyler Black or Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, and the sort of people like that. You've got kind of people in the stable like Juice Robinson, Mark Haskins, a great wrestler from the UK, Tennille Dashwood, formerly known as Emma in WWE, and now they're trying to recruit Flip Gordon, but Flip was like, I don't know yet, lads, I don't know yet. And then they were like, all right, okay, let's just wait until after Best of the Super Juniors and then you can make your decision then. And Flip can't make Best of the Super Juniors because I think it was visa issues, which is a massive shame for Flip, and I was really looking forward to seeing him in the tournament. He's so exciting to watch in the ring and I'm just a bit sad about it. So commiserations, Flip. Not only have you missed out on competing in one of the most prestigious wrestling tournaments in the world, but you've also probably missed out on a chance to pick up quite a few points in the next few weeks too. And I'm sure that's a disappointment on just as grand a scale as not actually being able to wrestle the damn thing. Number 8, Bea Priestley, because Ospreay's not on this week's list, and you better believe that I can't miss out on giving someone connected to him some points, so I'm going to give them to his girlfriend instead. That's not true at all. I'm being a dick. Bea Priestley had a massive week, the biggest week of her career so far. Now, you may be familiar with Bea from her time, for example, in WCPW. Maybe you don't know what she's done since she's gone over to Japan. Maybe you don't really know anything about her at all. So I'll give a quick rundown. Basically, she was a good wrestler in the UK, sort of women's divisions around the country and stuff. But since going to Japan, she's just become this badass outsider gaijin sort of figure, but she's in Queen's Quest, which is like the dominant stable over in Stardom. It's like Io Shirai used to be in that stable. She was like the leader of it. It's a really prestigious stable full of like the best wrestlers and stuff. And now Bea Priestley's put her money where her mouth is and she's proven it, and she's now the top champion in Stardom. She's out of nowhere. Well, not quite out of nowhere, because Bea's been on quite a journey since starting her time in Japan. She's improved immeasurably. Like in real life, with my own eyes, she is, I think, maybe the single most improved wrestler I've ever seen. She was good at the start, now she's a great wrestler. And it just reaffirms this belief in my head that Japan's sort of a mystical, strange place. There's something weird going on in Japan where it can just transform good wrestlers into bloody excellent ones. And I don't quite know what's going on. What's in the water over there? Because I was there for a week, I drank the water, and I didn't come back chucking super kicks about and stuff. What's going on? It's a bit of a bold booking decision for Stardom because there's a lot more established stars than Bea, a lot more homegrown stars as well, but at the same time, it's a move that I fully support. I think it is a bold booking decision, but a good one. I think it gives Bea a chance to really mix it up with different members of the roster in higher profile singles matches. And I can't wait to see it. I'm invested because of this, and I think hopefully it'll get a lot of new eyes on the Stardom product as well. I think it's good. Now, if we can just find a way to combine Bea and Will's points at the end of the year, and that might give them a little bit of a boost, and then one of them can, you know, win again. Because, you know, I can't not have Will win, can I? Because I'm biased. Aren't I? Dick. Number 7, the current WWE champion, Kofi Kingston. It still sounds so good. It still sounds so good. Now, Kofi wasn't in any of this week's most spectacular matches. I'll talk about some of those in just a second, but he was in 2 very good matches, actually. And when you beat Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, and Sami Zayn in 1 week, you're probably going to get some Wrestlers of the Week points, aren't you? So yeah, first, Kofi defended his WWE title in a rematch with Daniel Bryan on Raw, maybe the only bright spot of this week's Monday Night Raw, unless you're a particular fan of the Revival getting hot balls or the wildcard rule, which I still can't make any sense of. I asked on Twitter what it was about, and everyone just responded with gifs and jokes, so I don't think anyone else can make sense of it either. The SmackDown match was good too, with Kofi again successfully defending his WWE title, defeating AJ Styles and Sami Zayn in triple threat action, getting the pinfall over Zayn, which I think was the right booking decision. I like seeing Sami Zayn get a push, but right now you can't have Kofi pin AJ when he's been built up as Seth Rollins' number 1 contender for Money in the Bank. What are they all doing on each other's brands? Is this the wildcard rule? In effect, I don't know what's going on. Kofi Kingston had some good matches this week, and he gets some points. That's why I like this series. Simple, effective. Number 6, Bullet Club member and former IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Taiji Ishimori. Now, after losing his Junior Heavyweight title over WrestleMania weekend in Madison Square Garden without actually getting pinned to lose it, Ishimori had a chance this week to set things straight, taking on the new champion in singles action, and he totally bottled it. The massive loser. I shouldn't do that. He could absolutely beat the piss out of me, he could. Now, as I said with the Flip Gordon and Bandido match, this match was full of fast and furious athletic action, as you'd expect from two great members of New Japan's junior heavyweight division. But unlike the Ring of Honor match, this one I feel had a bit more of a gritty edge as well. They were beating each other up on the outside, they were trying to grind each other down with submissions. It wasn't just pure high-flying action, and I think really that made for a more well-rounded match. And even though Ishimori lost, I have to concede that it was a really enjoyable performance from him. He's got some wicked moves in his arsenal, particularly that running, sliding German suplex when his opponent's trapped in the ropes. It's innovative stuff like that, and it's the sheer speed and pace at which he moves that makes him such a thrilling wrestler to watch. And I doubt it's the last time he'll see that title in his New Japan career, although I think it said on commentary that he is 37 years old now, so I don't know, how does he move that quickly at that age? It's absolutely insane. We'll see how Ishimori does in Best of the Super Juniors, but it'll be interesting to see whether he's left by the wayside slightly because, Bullet Club have just introduced a new junior into their ranks, El Fantasmo. So I don't know whether Ishimori is going to be temporarily put on the back burner or whether he's going to be mixing it up, whether Bullet Club are going to have two juniors doing well in the same tournament. Marty Scurll's in there as well too. Very interesting stuff. Just realised I forgot that Marty Scurll is kind of floating between the Elite and Bullet Club. What's going on with Marty Scurll? To be honest, we're all just waiting until he leaves his Ring of Honor contract, aren't we? And rocks up at an AEW show alongside like Sasha Banks or Luke Harper or someone. Oh, it's all going to kick off in the next year or so, isn't it? Can't wait. Number 5, let's go to Dragon Gate and talk about Dragon Kid. So many dragons, I feel like I'm in bloody Game of Thrones. Although if I was in Game of Thrones, I'd definitely be one of the hot and cool characters, like the lad who only says one word ever, or Channel 4 newsreader Jon Snow. Anyway, Dragon Kid isn't a dragon or a kid. He's a human man in his 40s, but he does have quite a considerable history with Dragon Gate. He even tagged with Pac during Pac's original run before his WWE career in Dragon Gate, and I think they won the tag titles together as well. And then this week, Dragon Kid came up in a title match against the reigning champion, Pac, his old protege. And it was a fascinating dynamic. Both of them played off it really well, of course, as you'd imagine, but also the action in this was terrifying at times. Dragon Kid put in maybe the most selfless performance of any wrestler this week. Really helped make Pac look like an absolute animal and a killer, if he didn't need help doing that anyway. Or if he did need help doing that anyway. Sort yourself out, Jack. Come on. It's Friday. I've got to get down. So yes, Dragon Kid didn't win, but he took some sick bumps, dished out his fair share of offense as well, nimble, sort of high-flying, cruiserweight-style stuff, really enjoyable to watch, all tied together with nice psychology. Dragon Kid, I salute you, you human, middle-aged dragon child man. Good stuff. Number 4, time to talk about a bloody big boy, just a big boy. Evil, you big boy. Evil took part in, well, he's had some excellent singles matches over the past couple of years against the likes of Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada, and I think this one this week really does rank up there with some of the best and most impressive singles matches of Evil's New Japan run. There's no getting away from it, this was probably the stiffest match of the entire week. There were stomps, there were headbutts, there were forearms right in the face, as you see so often in New Japan, and it often makes that lovely slapping sound when they catch a nice angle, and it's just kind of wince-inducing to watch at times, but it is of course very effective. That's why they do it. But it wasn't just two men lighting each other up trying to make essentially a scripted sport look as real as possible. It was all tied together with good storytelling and good psychology as well, and Evil was a huge part of that, working the legs of his opponent a lot, trying for the Scorpion Deathlock a lot as well, and they really emphasised on commentary how that was taught to him by his mentor. It all felt, much more than just a brawl between two hard lads in a ring. It felt so much more of an event than that. But despite it being maybe my favourite match of the week, I do have to say that this puts Evil in a bit of a weird position. I never really know what's next for Evil and Sonata, and I worry that they're sometimes in limbo because whenever they're not tag team champions, one of them seems to get a singles push towards a top title and then lose the eventual title match and drop back down. Then they go for the tag belts again, the other one gets a push, maybe around G1 time they'll both get a bit of a push, but neither of them will get to the finals. It's all a bit... I don't really know what's going on with LIJ, and I wonder what the long-term plan is for that stable, because Tetsuya Naito, as this match proves, isn't the only excellent elite-level wrestler in that group. Number 3, Dragon Lee. Hey, I didn't just put him here because it rhymes. It was the happiest of coincidences. Dragon Lee is, of course, the current reigning and defending IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, and still is after defeating Taiji Ishimori in that match I talked about slightly earlier. So I totally totally predicted wrong what they were going to do with this storyline. Thankfully, it sort of worked in my favour because I got this match right in my predictions for the G1 Supercard, the old triple threat match between Ishimori, Dragon Lee and Bandito. I thought Dragon Lee's going to win. Takahashi's going to appear on the screen and call him out when he returns from injury. Instead, Dragon Lee's been so super respectful towards Takahashi because obviously in real life he'll feel terrible about playing a part in Takahashi getting injured. But at the same time, I thought in storyline he was just going to kind of ignore it. Then Takahashi would come back with a huge head of steam and surprise him. Instead, Dragon Lee's been referencing it on camera. He came out to the ring for this match with Ishimori with Takahashi's mask on, put it on the corner of the ring facing inwards and stuff. And it was like, I don't know, it just felt like maybe they're gonna turn Takahashi fully babyface when he comes back. Maybe they'll tag them together. Maybe through this horrific injury, these two like enemies stretching back years in various promotions are going to become friends. It's an interesting way to go, not the way I predicted at all, but it could happen. But sorry, yes, enough about the G1 Supercard, enough about the whole history of Takahashi and Dragon Lee. Let's talk about this match, because Dragon Lee put in a great high-flying performance against Taiji Ishimori and really solidified his reign with this win. Really solidified it because, of course, he pinned Bandito in New York. Ishimori had his one-on-one shot to get his title back that he never really lost fully, but Dragon Lee beat him anyway, and there was some sick counters, some really slick reversals and stuff. But as I mentioned, it also had a bit of a gritty edge, this match, and I thought it was well worthy of main eventing one of the Wrestling Dontaku shows. So well done, boys, well played. And I think Dragon Lee could win Best of the Super Juniors. We'll see. He's a front runner in my mind, but then there's about 10 front runners as well, so we don't really know what's going to happen. Number 2, alright, bloody bastard from up in Newcastle Town, lads. It's Pac. It's Neville. It's Pac. Not Neville. Pac. Geordie Pac. Pac is still the Open the Dreamgate champion, the top champion in all of Dragon Gate, and he's not just settling for holding one of the most prestigious titles in all of Japan, he's elevating it further, because every one of his title matches has been superb since his return from WWE. He's been so good. It's all kind of rife with psychology and just sheer evilness from Pac. He's truly one of the most effective heels in wrestling active today. And he does things like, in one of his earlier matches, he jumped his opponent during the British National Anthem at the start of the match when his opponent's back was turned. So now every time the British National Anthem plays, Pac's just stood there looking around really shifty, like, when am I going to do it? And he didn't do it. And sometimes his opponent looks back like, what are you doing? Sometimes they just don't, but they look all tense. It adds so much to even the national anthems at the start of a title match. It's so well thought out. And as for the match itself against Dragon Kid, well, as I mentioned while talking about Dragon Kid earlier, he took a lot of punishment in this match. Pac laid into him with some huge moves. A few minutes in, for example, casual jumping tombstone on the apron. I was like, Jesus. And if you're just listening to me talk about that and you haven't seen it, you might think, oh, that sounds a bit spotty, that sounds a bit stupid, like getting all these big moves in early. No, it really played into the whole story of the match with Pac trying to just destroy his mentor early on because he knows how dangerous he can be. A bit later on as well, Pac hit one of the most outrageous top rope moves that I've ever seen, I think, recently at least. No, is it one of the most outrageous I've ever seen? I think it is. It was kind of like a Falcon Arrow brainbuster kind of thing. I've never seen it before. It looked terrifying. I'm assuming that his opponent was safe, and it just, oh man, it was crazy. And it didn't even end the match, nor did the tombstone from the top rope, but thankfully everything did make sense. It wasn't like Dragon Kid was kicking out of everything. It was just about Pac trying to like destroy this man. So he had the jumping tombstone from the top eventually, and then, you know, the Black Arrow, formerly known as the Red Arrow, and retained his title. And I'm out of breath just talking about it. Wonderful match. I don't think Pac's actually won Wrestlers of the Week this year. I don't think he's won like the big 10 points, but he's still lingering around the top of the table just by picking up huge bucket loads of points every time he has a match like this one. And number 1, Sam Driver's going to be pleased because it's one of his favourite wrestlers. It's the Stone Pitbull, Tomohiro Ishii. So when I was talking about Evil and how his match was one of my favourite matches of the week, his opponent was Tomohiro Ishii, and it was superb. It was stiff, it was brutal, but Ishii demonstrated once again why he is just one of the best wrestlers in the world right now, and also, weirdly, one of the best and one of the most loved and one of the most underrated, I think, at the same time. I think all three of those things are valid at once. You know, you can talk for days about an Ishii match and how it's full of stiff strikes and sick headbutts and elbows and chops and that sort of thing, but at the same time, I want to talk about his selling in this match, because the whole story of the shows leading up to this one was that Evil was targeting the legs of Ishii, setting him up for that Scorpion deathlock. And then when he eventually got it in, you know, the drama as Ishii crawled towards the ropes was immeasurable. The crowd was so loud for this one. Also, it meant that Ishii had to sell really well, and his selling was so good because Ishii kind of sells a bit like a Lesnar sort of figure. He can absorb a tremendous amount of punishment, but then that means that when something does hurt him, it's doubly as effective. But in this match, he had to constantly do that, like absorb things, no-sell the occasional big move, come back with a big move of his own, and then sell the move that's just happened to him. He had to do all of that in his head, which I've just said, which is really confusing, and remember to sell the leg at the same time. So he has to do all of that stuff and consistently sell the leg. And he did. It was a flawless performance. It was so good. I don't think it was a flawless match. You know, there were little bits here and there where it could have picked up a bit more. But for me, it was the best match of the week. And Ishii's performance was easily the best performance of the week. And that's in a week including title matches, great high-flyer matches, all sorts of different great wrestling. And Ishii has just risen above it all with just an excellent and complicated and deep wrestling performance. That is wonderful. So congratulations, Tomohiro Ishii, big 10 points for you, and you are my wrestler of the week. Now let's take a look at the league table, which last week Adam Pachi decided to do in the form of a song. So here's the league table. I'm going to do it as well. Why not? Big Willie, Kofi K, Johnny, Kento, Big Bad J, Pac and Walter, Lovely, Kota, Trevor, Ricochet. See, it's easy. I wrote that in about a minute. It's actually not difficult. Pachi's a fraud, and also at the same time, so is Billy Joel by extension. I hope you all enjoyed that. Have a look at the rest of the table as it goes. There it is. Right, cheers everyone. See you next week. Thanks very much for watching, and let us know what you think in the comments section down below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter at Cultaholic and on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do, then please do check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Cultaholic, where you can pledge. And don't forget, of course, most importantly of all, to hit subscribe and to join us.